conflict. So I also have a little bit.
My next meeting. And there, I mean.
It's fine, Jimmy.
No problem.
Well, wait till he gets to this age, dude, and you have that one.
I said, am I going?
No, you're not.
How's it going?
Bud. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get us started this morning. While people sign on, Victoria, thank you for joining in. I actually meant to call you first thing this morning, and I was going to have you do a little talk that we talked about here in a little while, if that's cool.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Okay. So we believe core value. We believe faith and family should come first and are precious gifts to be savored. We will always create margin for both. We want to serve our clients, but we also want to serve our families well. We encourage margin and time off for our team members and want them to have a healthy work-life balance. Our hope is to see our team thrive personally. My take on this is a little bit different. Something that we've been discussing in the leadership that I want you guys to be aware of. Schedule your personal family time as part of your calendar. Time block your family. Those are important things. Danielle is a prime example of time blocking. She took off and even brought a kid with her this morning. So we're happy to have Danielle back with us. The fourth quarter can be a very good quarter for you, even though it's going to be a little bit slow as far as sales and buyers and interest rates and all the things that we're dealing with. But if you're using this time to reach out to your sphere and say, hey, you know what? Now is the right time for you to be looking to buy, because even if interest rates are high, what you're going to pay in the spring and the summer of next year is going to be considerably higher. So reaching out to your sphere and telling them now is the time when inventory is, we have 4,000 houses for sale in Tarrant County right now. It's the highest that it's been in almost 2 years. We've got good inventory. It's not perfect. I remember, this time of year, 8-10 years ago, there might be 5,500 houses for sale, but 4,000 is a very good number considering that just 3 years ago, we were at 900 in Tarrant County. So we've got enough inventory for people to look around. They're looking for the perfect house. Now's the time to look. Okay. We will discuss some of these time blocking issues on the 18th, which is 2 weeks from today. I'm going to be doing at Mina, I think, she was the one that requested this. So time blocking, day planner, what a day in the life of a realtor. I went through it about a year ago or so, but I want to go through it again with everybody that's new, and it's a handout. I'll give you a piece of paper that has some good information, some good rules for you and for your family about how to time block and how to make your day go better, creating that margin. Okay, so a couple of announcements. Quarterly catch-ups are here. If you haven't booked with me, please do so. If you're in the Fort Worth office, if you're in Parker County, obviously you'll book with Holly and Tom. Y'all already done y'all's.
Yeah.
Your quarterly catch-ups.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
We make, yeah. Okay.
So quarterly catch-ups you can book. Good morning. But book those. They're on the calendar. Just go to your 6th app calendar and you'll see the quarterly catch-up there. Please do it. Part-time people, if you're not going to book with me, that's completely fine, but you're welcome to check in with me. There will be a FEMA alert today between 1 and 2 o'clock. It is going to set off everyone's phones at the exact same time in the country. It's nothing for you to do, but just be aware your phone is going to go off this afternoon with an alert and probably a text message. New leasing procedures. If you do leases, they are now in the quick links on Slack. There are 2 things there. Number 1 is the leasing procedures. Jimmy and Victoria and I have all worked very hard together to make this as simple as possible. The only thing you have to put in ReChat is if you do a lease listing. Everything else will be through the second form that's in quick links that says lease payment request. So if you go and get a tenant, a lease, you'll go use that one form that immediately goes to Rachel. And then that way, when the check comes in, she knows how to pay you. If you do an apartment lease, which is Kristen and Megan are here, but they do a lot of apartment leases. So they're going to use that payment request form. The only thing we need in ReChat are the things that are on the leasing procedures, but just if you're doing a lease listing. Victoria. So we have been discussing how us as guides, as agents, need to be utilizing Victoria and Rachel. So let me kind of explain that. Actually, let me start with Victoria. Victoria, if you don't mind, take the floor and kind of give a brief rundown of your job and how you see it and how they should be contacting you.
Okay, so can you guys hear me? Sorry, I'm outside. I'm licensed. First of all, I do have my license. And then I am the transaction coordinator for 6th Ave, and so I've been with 6th Avenue since 2017. So that's kind of evolved a little bit. It was just like me, Jamie, Jimmy, Rachel, and like 2 other agents. I was the in-house transaction coordinator. Obviously, nobody was required to use me. Still, nobody is required to use me, but I basically offered that as a service, just in-house. And then it kind of evolved as we grew. And so now I do all of like administrative stuff for the brokerage. And I still have always, even when I first started, I handle CDAs and compliance. So anytime you guys have a closing, obviously, you know the drill, you submit your documents. I review them. I tell you if something's missing or if something's, missing a signature, things like that. And then I create the CDA. I send it over for final approval to Brian. And then I get that over to title for you along with any pay information if you've provided that. So that's kind of my role. I think, obviously I know ReChat and I'm happy to help people, with ReChat. It's just, what's the word I'm looking for? If you need transaction coordinator services, like that is available to you. And I'm always happy to walk through that with you. But mostly like I'm on the back end of things, just on the compliance side, on the CDA side. That's kind of what my role is. And I've kind of have a little bit of autonomy in that. So I promise you that I'm not just trying to make your life miserable. I'm just trying to do my job to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much, Victoria.
Yeah.
So, and then Rachel has also asked that if you need to contact her, do it through email. Please don't Slack her because she doesn't check Slack.
And you can you can Slack me. I have Slack on my phone, and it's really helpful if you Slack me. I'll tell you that.
So Victoria Slack, Rachel email.
Yeah, there really shouldn't be any reason for emailing Rachel unless it's like, usually like honestly, like I don't know.
If in lease payments, things like that, if you're,
Lease payments,
you can send an email and say, hey, I'm expecting this to come in. Please let me know when my check
But
is
even
ready
then,
or
they'll
something like that.
email the form.
Yeah,
So you don't
with the
even-
form.
There shouldn't be any email. I'm just trying to think. I'm like, I don't think you guys would email Rachel for anything. If anything, just email me or Brian,
And we'll handle it.
And we'll get it with Rachel. So I would say like main point of contact, obviously, is your brokerage manager. Whichever office you're in. Main point of contact, brokerage manager. Victoria is typically like a brokerage admin. Like she's that's like historically what that would be called. She does do transaction coordinating services. So like if you need a transaction coordinator, she's awesome at it. So it's like, if you're like, man, I am slammed with a bunch of deals. I've never once done my own transaction. Victoria's done it all for me, like every time. So she does that. It's for a fee on top of the normal stuff. But really, honestly, the way she interacts with you guys most times is just like a historical like brokerage admin of just taking care of like internal stuff. So just some clarity on operations there. Any questions on that? I really don't think Rachel, I don't know. Do y'all email Rachel for stuff?
Just payment stuff.
Yeah, but like if you don't get paid or
So like if there's issues with like monthly fees, if there's not issues, but like monthly recurring things, any type of like if we have special orders. So like when I order my koozies,
My
Rachel
debit card
sends
expires.
yeah. So Rachel sends us like invoicing, things like that.
Yeah, I would say if you have any of those questions, you could probably go to Brian first, just to like not overwhelm Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, only because it's like she's handling homes, storytelling, and then she has this like construction. It's like it's a disaster, and we got to find someone else to help her out with it somewhere. But I would think that. But yeah, there's be some circumstances, but you can just email her whenever you need to. So
Please on that. Okay. So there's that. Sean wanted me to remind you about Santana Ridge Reels contest that he's got coming, where you do social media, whoever gets the most stuff, most likes, is it?
Likes and views.
And then whoever does that out of the offices that he offers this to.
Your balloons again. It did it again.
It did?
Yeah.
I don't know what the balloons are, guys. I keep getting balloons on my side.
Sorry, I just thought. I'm just happy.
But that's starting tomorrow. It's 10 o'clock. If you don't have an invitation, see me after this meeting if you want to be a part of that, because it's an invite only, and I can tell you where to email to get into that contest. But the meeting is tomorrow 10 to 12. So I actually have our lunch sponsor is JK Roofer, which Jana brought us. It's James Kate Roofing. And they did a job for one of my clients, and my clients were over the moon, thought they did a great job, were competitively priced. But there's our lunch sponsor for 100 Days to Greatness today, but they got sick, so they're not coming. But they're sending food.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they're sending Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So into that vein, I told them that I would show you guys this real quick presentation. So if you'll bear with me while I get this up, and then I will present this. If I can find my mouse, there it is. Okay, there. If anybody sees my mouse, tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
more balloons.
Did I get more balloons? Okay. Here we go. I'm going to share this real quick. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is James Kate Roofing and Solar. Real quickly, they have 3 offices, Mansfield, Granbury, and Aubrey. So they cover pretty much the entire Metroplex. My client was actually in Rome, and they went out there and took care of it, which is out northwest.
Where I live.
The northwest corner. But they have some really, I mean, obviously their core values and stuff. One of the things that they talked about the last time that they were here, they've won Best of the Best National Award, 4.9 Google stars. Their roof refresh package they have. So if you look at this package right here, it's $1,200 for only $285. So if you get a listing and they've got a couple of shingles missing, or you look at it and you go, that doesn't look quite right, you can call James Kate. They'll come out and do a roof refresh for $285. What I used to pay through one of the other roofers in Keller was $450. So $285 that's a deal. But they do the full roof inspection. They'll replace up to 25 missing or broken shingles and paint all faded vent pipes. And then we will all dry damage, crack caulking, and exposed nail homes. So I think they'll take care of stuff like that for that $285. Super deal. So if you run into a listing, these are the guys to call. And they also have a guarantee on their thing. And then
25 is a lot.
I'm sorry.
Up to 25 shingles, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a pretty
a deal.
significant. That's a deal.
Yeah.
And then they also have an app. And if you guys would like to get this, I can leave it up there for a minute, or you can see me after class to get their app. But then they do rewards, $25 for each appointment kept, $175 for replacement sold, and then a $200 bonus for every roof replacement sold. So really good partner we've got here with James Kate. I was really impressed with what they did for my client. So if you guys would like that, I'm sorry.
The 285, I mean, what radius do they work for the 285? Anywhere?
They've got 3 offices. They've got,
Oh, okay.
so they've got
Where are their 3 offices?
Field,
What?
Aubrey, and
Granbury.
Granbury,
Oh, okay, perfect.
Mansfield, Granbury, and Aubrey. Excuse me?
You go to the core values.
Their core values. That was here. They ran last time, and just super sweet people. So personal recommendation. They did good for my client. So and I'll show that again.
Any company that like has a core values and like their second and third thing with, especially with all that stuff, I just like the content of that is really good. Just from a marketing standpoint, the branding is not, but Other than.
Maybe we need to talk to him about that.
I'm like, man, that's hard, but the content of that is excellent.
Okay. I can. You mean just the QR code?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so when celebration, we'll talk about September, and then we're going to do just some brief other stuff. So September closings, Parker County had 5 closings in September. Angela had 3.
Hey, Angela.
Holly had 2. So congratulations to the Parker County agents.
Oh.
But you've got one today.
Okay.
Yours just kind of folded over into the next month. Fort Worth, we had 8. So Maria Gonzalez had 2. Andrew had a closing. Where'd he go? Back there. Yay. Savannah had a closing. Jana had 1, and then Ashley and Gabby split 1 for us. So they had a closing. They are. We have good month. Quick update on where we are for the year. Okay, so we just finished the 3rd quarter, 4 days into the 4th quarter. Right now, we are at 147 closings for all of our offices. Last year, all of us did 174. So we are well on pace to outdo what we did last year, as long as the bottom doesn't fall out of the market, which it hasn't, and it's not gonna. So well on our pace for serving the families and the closings that have coming up. So now is the time that we kind of tell you about the masterminds that are coming up. I want to let you and you.
Well, let me
Oh,
share
you have something?
I just want to share something really quick, since there's a lot of people here. I was going to wait till Christmas party, but at the beginning of the year, we knew the economy was going to slow down. We knew the rates were going to rise. So you knew that was coming. And so we always set goals at the first of the year of like, hey, like in gross commissions, how much do we want to do? You know, and like, how much do we think that our offices are capable of? Even if we grow a little bit, maybe we shrink a little bit. I don't know. And so we set a goal of 1.7 for overall like gross commissions, and we're 1.67 right now. So it's like, holy crap, man! Like we still have a whole quarter left, and we've already basically hit our 1-year goal. We also have a metric of that
147.
147 of family served. The reason that we do that is we set that metric. It doesn't like give us anything. It's like, great, we sold this many houses. Like, that doesn't mean anything from like a CFO standpoint. Like a CFO is like, okay, well, what does that mean in dollars? That's all that matters, right? And so, but we specifically keep that metric because if you believe that you're going to impact your city in small little ways, that our brokerage has like actual impact, then the metric that you have to track is how many people are you serving? How many lives are being affected by your services, by our people, by our core values? And so family served is honestly one of our top metrics that we keep. And we set a goal of 144 for the year, and we're already at 147. So it's just really, really cool to think of like, even in a slow year, we're on pace for a really busy year last year, and we've already succeeded and passed our goals for the whole year. And so that's like testimony to you guys, testimony to the leadership, testimony to growth, and it's really cool, something to celebrate. We'll celebrate more at the end of the year because I want to see what the numbers are, and we can kind of like, we're planning on doing a big presentation, but it's like, it's the first of the month, it's time to celebrate. Like, that's a huge win. Everybody should be really excited and proud of that. I definitely am. I definitely am. So it's really cool to see. Really cool to see.
I have a question. What about over last year? Because you mentioned this is a slower year, so.
Yeah. So last year, what was our family served last year?
174.
174. Yeah. So we're literally right on track to, if in this economy, like for this year, 2023 versus 2022, when 2021 into 2022 was insane, right? Like everybody's seeing the record numbers. Like you talk to any tele company, they're like, oh my gosh, like they made triple what they made like the previous years. And so coming in to even like come with that, like, and we've lost from 22 to 23, we've lost a lot of agents, but the agents that we brought on and the agents that have stayed have grown. Like that's what I'm most excited about. It's like, if you've stayed here, we've changed up a lot. Danielle, we have changed up a whole lot within our brokerage, and we brought on like good quality people, good quality agents. Like when I say good quality, I'm not just talking about transactions closed. I'm talking about just like good, like mature, wise, like good people.
Yeah.
Like it's like, man, I really like our core group here. I really, really like it. I really like where we've come from, where we're moving to. And these numbers, while again, we're not like competing with the big dogs out there, they're really significant to me because of how much impact we have on our city, in our small localized communities, and that means a lot to me as an owner. So really appreciate the hard work, really appreciate the quality of the people, characters that you are, that we have here. And so just something like that's pretty exciting for me. So I wasn't gonna share that necessarily, but I was like, no, it felt right. It felt right to share with you guys. So thank you.
Very good. So the things that we wanted to talk about, you guys are, the mastermind series is every Wednesday. So just a reminder, the first Wednesday, we talk about wins and things that from the previous month, but the other 3 weeks of the month, we will be doing a mastermind series at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays. So I'd already previewed mine coming up in 2 weeks, the Realtor's Day Planner. On the last week of the month, Maria Gonzalez is going to be doing her follow-up like a boss talk, how she actually chases people down and tackles them. That's what her talk will be about. Is that correct, Maria?
Kind of, sort of, and a lot of Spanglish in there too.
Say it again.
Kind of, sort of, and a lot of Spanglish in there too.
Okay, got it.
I think she uses a gun as well.
Yeah. And so, but while we have Holly and Taja in-house, they're going to be doing Mastermind next Wednesday. And the topic was what you learned from the TAR conference. So if you guys would like to preview some of that, now would be a good time.
Okay, well, we did get a couple of interesting places just to do deeper research, to be more methodical about our research. I think as the Metroplex grows and people are going to do more land deals, more development things, I think we need these tools to really be accurate in our data. Doing your research upfront on listings is going to be imperative to like being accurate and not having things fall apart or surprises. So I think that, and then we did a continuing ed class, which we both found valuable, called couples therapy. I didn't know if we did it for us or what. But anyways, we went and it was great, and I had a lot of great information about handling yourself in the market, your emotional discipline. I know that like we've had a lot of chatter back and forth about, you know, agents are more emotional now than I feel like they've been in years. They have poor emotional responses. You know, people want to get the deals done. They don't necessarily want to be thorough. And so it's just educating us and tempering us to handle ourselves as professionals and to put the value that our client, we're here for our clients and our checks and our transactions, and just kind of some steps to like help you guide those difficult transactions, like personally, emotionally.
Yeah.
So.
That's some great information. So next Wednesday, 10 a.m., please come for them to do their presentation of what we learned at TAR. And then again, Maria's how we chase people down and tackle them later in the month. So let's talk for a few minutes in a mastermind kind of setting. What are you seeing okay, let's just ask this question. Everybody that's here, if you have more than 5 clients that you are currently working with, raise your hand. If you have more than 5 buyers or 5 sellers. I saw a hand. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. If you've got 3 or more buyers or sellers. Well, and if you raise for 5, you don't have to go for 3, Maria. You're working down.
Sure got 8.
Okay, so if you are, does everybody have 1 client they're working with? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things that we have started, I don't know, some people are seeing it. I'm trying to spread the wealth around a little bit from the leads that we get from our 6th Ave website. So when something comes in, I have contacted you by text or by email or by Slack and said, hey, I've got a lead. Would you like to work this lead? So that's kind of what Maria is going to touch on, is some of the things that she does to follow up with these people. Yes, Danielle.
How can I put my name on that list?
Well, now that you are here, you are on the list.
Okay, great.
I was trying to be kind.
That's okay. I don't think I've been on it since we did stuff last year. So
Okay.
I just was gonna talk to you about that.
Well, this is just really implemented
Okay,
for me
okay.
to take when Tanner left. I kind of am in charge of that now. So I'm trying to spread the love a little bit so that everything that comes in. So we are getting some leads, and the flow has been pretty steady, 3 to 5 a week. So I'm trying to spread those around a little bit, but I'll ask you first if you can handle it before I send it to you.
We just started it. So
Okay, cool.
You haven't missed nothing.
Yeah, you haven't missed anything. Yeah.
You haven't missed nothing. So,
Thank you for waiting.
well, I was waiting for you to make an appearance and say, hey, I'd like to start doing this again. Because we wanted to give you time for family.
Then we gotta see how many leads we can take on as well.
So everybody's got buyers they're working with. What are you seeing? What is their holdup? Why are they on the fence? Tell me, Angela.
I have buyers that are just like waiting for some kind of magic good deal where it's like
Yeah.
a buyer's market. And I keep telling them that's not happening. We don't have enough inventory to get into a buyer's market. And they'll say, well, this house has been sitting there for 90 days. Well, yeah, it's overpriced. You can put it in an offer if you want. I get it. But that doesn't mean I have to accept your offer. Some of these houses that I see in Parker County are just ridiculous. Like I was talking to an agent yesterday and I said, hey, did you ever sell your parents' house last year? And she was like, no. I said, okay, are you gonna put it back on the market? And she's like, yeah. I said, great. How much? She said, same 1.2 million. I'm like, so the same price it didn't sell for last summer, you're gonna put it back on the market in, I think she said November for the same price. Yes. Okay, fine. I'll send it to my buyer and he's going to try to lowball you and we are going to get nowhere. So I'm kind of seeing that where sellers aren't really wanting to not recognize that it's not last summer and then buyers are waiting for good deals. So that's been my
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same, because I just had 2 listings pull in Garland and Weatherford, and they both would have been buys, but people are like, I'll talk to the lenders. I've seen the house payment. Like, it's not worth it. I mean, trying to handle that objection to being like, hey, like, have you talked in-depthly? But I will say, not that I'm talking smack about lenders, because like, I mean to my brother daily about how he like educates my clients. But I feel like the lenders are being a little bit like they're backing off where they don't want to do the work with these clients. Like they want to run their pre-approval sort of, but they don't want to dive into it. They don't want to produce net sheets. They don't really want to paint the pictures of the financial pictures to educate them. And so if I don't have a lending partner that will do the work and educate the client and say, well, my God, you've got $40,000 in credit card debt at 28%. Like, if you go ahead and make that move and then we can, when or if rates drop, we can refinance you. Like and I know like the implosion of the mortgage world, because I hear so much banter about it from mortgage preferreds, that like, I mean, they have such a crappy attitude. So it's really hard to combat if we don't have strong financial partners to educate those people when to send them. Because I'm spending a lot of time, though I'm not a mortgage professional, like,
Counseling.
have you asked your lender to do this? Have you asked this question? Have you had them sit down? Have you made an appointment? Have you had a Zoom? Are you looking at your debt to income ratio? Are you looking at, if you lock in at 7.5 now and in 2 years you were able to lock in at 6%, what would that look like monthly? So I feel like lending partners is a big deal, because I mean, like with this one deal, I mean, this lender was not, I mean, he straight up told my client, like, I'm not going to do anything until you bring me a contract.
Okay.
And I just don't, I don't agree with that.
And we've got to be, in these cases that you're seeing, we got to be looking at those buy downs, those 2-1 buy downs, because if you do the simple math, if a house is listed, we're going to use your example, Angela, at 1.2. Okay. So if the buyer can buy that rate down for $10,000 or $15,000, well, that's nothing on a $1.2 million listing. And they can buy the rate down to 6.5 at this point. I mean, last I saw, rates were running about 8.25, 8.5. Hello, Maria. 8.25 is not going to be unreasonable in today's market. But until we get some movement out of the Fed, the buy downs are the way to go. And that's a cheap solution. Just put it in your contract. Go talk to your lender about, and if your lender is not offering some type of buy down, find another lender.
Yeah.
I've been trying to like
And
push
free
new
refunds.
construction.
Yeah. Huh?
New construction right now. It's like if they want to just say like Perry, they're offering $25,000.
Right.
A lot of builders are.
So I'm like, well, yeah, that's the way to go.
And a lot of builders have picked up on D.R. Horton or DHI. There's a couple of builders I see trickling into my feed that are doing interest rates like at 4.99.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
So,
It just sucks at DR Horton. I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, that's something that everybody needs to consider, though, especially if you've got a buyer client that's wanting to buy. Hey, we can go to D.R. Horton or to Perry Homes and they're going to give us a better interest rate just so that they can sell a house. And that's the whole point. So be looking at new construction. If you need the new construction email, just email, let me know and I'll send it to you because I get it every Thursday of the new inventory that's available. I just don't send it out because I'm trying not to bombard you guys too much because I bombard the crap out of you in Slack as it is.
I want to
I
mention
say
something.
send it all.
Yeah, no, I feel like
I
I'm
would
part of it.
like
I
that.
like it. Bring it.
Okay.
I just,
Oh,
We looked at yesterday.
oh yeah.
that's
What were you
up.
gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, on the note about like lenders kind of being they're strapped right now for money. They're going through a very difficult time, a lot more difficult than I think we are. I had previously, whenever like, there's a tough season for lenders, I actually had a preferred lender of mine that I used for maybe 4 years. He actually lied to my client and committed mortgage fraud in the same transaction and caused massive problems and there's a headache of a transaction. One of my lender friends, he made $1 million prior year. And like this last year, he didn't break a 6-figure. And so like they're really hurting. And so I think that like making sure that like you have conversations with them. And since that situation happened, whenever it's difficult for lenders, I've been a little bit harder on my lenders now of being like, did you get this? Are you sure they can qualify for both houses at the same time? You're not just telling me this and then gonna let it blow up when it blows up because you need to make a trip, have those conversations and really vetting them.
I had to do that recently because it was my buyer one that they chose wasn't my preferred. And I literally was calling the lender every single day for emailing saying, where we at? Are we good? Like, I just need to make sure because I don't know how they did things and I needed to, and this was iffy anyway. So.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with staying on your lenders. As a guide in this world that we're in, you've got to be the person, you're the point person. Your job is to take care of everybody, including the other agent in a lot of cases, because a lot of them don't know what they're doing. If somebody has a seller and you need the buy now, sell later program that Thrive or Benchmark has, Denise Donahue, holler at me because that is a great program in certain cases. It doesn't work for everybody because they could get stuck with paying an interest payment for a couple of months while their house is selling. But if you can talk them or if you can get them reasonable about what their house is worth in today's market, using the fish finder, if you need a reminder on how to use the fish finder, come see me and I'll show you again. It's in showing time. But you can show them where houses are showing in their neighborhood. You can show them what price point houses are showing in their neighborhoods. So if they're at 1.2 and houses are selling for 900,000, you can show them that. Okay. Anybody else? What else?
I have a buyer right now that he's qualified up to 550, and because I don't think it's unique, but he doesn't want to go over 500 right now because of the rates. And I've continuously explained to him the rate buy down, explain the free refi. And it's just, I think, this fear of but what if something happened with my job because he's in finance, and what if I can't afford my payment and that whole thing. And it's like, he can, but he just doesn't want to. And so as much as, yes, we have inventory, we still don't have inventory.
We don't have the inventory that they're looking for
Yeah.
at the price point they want.
Right. And so that's been my big hang up. And then, I have a listing that I did want to kind of pull the room whenever we move into another. Has anybody done a subject to deal on a listing that isn't moving?
I have done one.
You mean where they transfer their mortgage?
It kind of, yeah. So
I think Jimmy's probably done one or two of those.
Which one?
Subject to
subject to, I haven't.
and or.
I don't know what subject to means.
Essentially, as an investor, you buy the house subject to, I guess, selling it again.
Basically,
You take over all the payments.
Double close.
You take over.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's sorry. You gotta use the, you gotta use the,
not double close. That's different. That's like a wholesale thing, right?
I don't know.
It's phrased
so
the
you
same
just
way on a
take
lot of
over
contracts.
payments and-
Essentially, it's not, they're not,
Crazy.
and that's the catch, is that they don't assume the loan. So it's still technically a risk on my seller, but because the mortgage is being paid for, they can still qualify for a new home and blah, 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 all the things.
Yeah.
We've been on the market for probably close to 2 months. We haven't had a single showing. She doesn't want to drop to the right price. And we got an offer that's like subject to.
Is it,
So I don't really love those. If
I mean, I don't
if
either.
I'm in her position. So you can do the same thing by doing it, using it as a rental property.
Right.
And once you turn it into a rental property and then you get several months of that income,
Right.
that'll now start, it'll cancel out your debt to income ratio. And so then you can actually qualify for the same amount
Right.
or more usually.
Yeah.
Because now you can you could theoretically order a new appraisal on that house based on the income coming in. And that's, if I was in your spot, I would suggest, hey, don't take that.
Okay.
Only because they can really, and the
Right.
people that do that are usually shady.
Right.
And they're going to take advantage of you. Now, sometimes they're not, but it's like a 50-50 gamble.
And that's what I thought, but I
it
just
is.
figured I'd ask because,
I got the same thing
okay.
It is.
Perfect.
on every
I
one of
would-
my listings.
Okay, perfect. Then I'll present it to her just with, we've already talked about the prospect of leasing it out and all of
The
that.
idea is that they're sending offers, but they're not what she wants. And
No,
then they're
we-
gonna try to resell it.
Right.
So they're gonna give her some kind of monthly amount.
No,
So
no.
it's hard to explain, but essentially
Okay.
like, it's a full price offer. They pay for all the closing costs and all the commission. So it's a little bit lower of an offer, but her net stays the same. It's actually a better deal for me and for her if they do it that way. But that's assuming then that eventually the loan comes out of her name, that they are able to resell it, that they do what they say they're gonna
Yeah.
do.
Next, like, what if they don't do what they
So-
say they're gonna
so-
do and then loans of.
Kevin,
Typically how this works is, so sub two is you have title to your property, you have the mortgage to the property. Both of those are in your name whenever you purchase it. Then whenever you sell them, both of those go out of your name or you pay them off. With this, basically you just change the title of the property into someone else's name and your name is still on the note. Those people start making your payment for you, but that DTI still shows up under you. It still affects your credit score if they pay or they don't. And so it can be a good situation if you're, say, on the doors going to foreclosure. And I've knocked on doors before and said, hey, if you don't get back up right on your payments, foreclosure is going to go on the record for 7 years. I'll make a deal with you. I will buy the property. We'll put the title to my name. I will get you upright on your payments. You're 16 grand behind. I'll get you upright, cut you a check for 5 grand. And now your credit score is going to be built. And after 3 years, I'll refinance the property and get the loan out of your name. But you won't have foreclosure and you'll have a better credit score. Is that something worth doing, or we're gonna auction it off? But typically for the average person, that's not worth doing. Also, you have to be careful as a buyer. If it's a big box lender like Wells Fargo, Chase, some big place, easy. They got bigger fish to fry than changing the property owner without notifying them. If it's a small time lender and like you're the biggest fish, you're gonna get fried.
Okay.
And then they're gonna want payment like immediately, or they'll start the foreclosure process.
All right,
'Cause
so
you-
the answer is no, thank you.
because they can call it due.
They can.
They,
But typically big box things.
they don't worry about it.
Even
Smaller.
small don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like a very rare. They would have to be, you'd have to have like a couple, on the millions to like, for them to call it, even the small ones, they don't, it's like $200,000 or $300,000 homes.
Okay. Interesting.
I just wanted to tell some of the new agents.
That's-
I don't think we
6
have
in
them.
Bell County is,
So I have several buyers that were on the fence. But once I and the lender talked to them that, the market right now is to their benefit, that some of these sellers are really being flexible. I send them any houses that are over 20 to 25 days. And then we go and then I make an offer 10 or 15 below with closing costs. I've gotten 2 out of those.
Oh,
So I am probably the type of agent that most listing agents don't like, but that's the Latina in me, the bartering. I'm not afraid of it. The worst they can say is no. But when you get it, you have a loyal buyer because you got them the house that they wanted. So don't be afraid of the no's.
That's what I say too, I have one specific younger couple, it's first time home buyers. I'm like, let's just put in an offer. Let's just see. And I had to switch them lenders because their lenders didn't even talk to them about buy down. I was like,
Yep.
serious.
and if y'all have questions about like lending options and what can my clients get? Is their money? What does it look like? And your lender's not doing that. I have a lender that is happy to talk to you about options. I'm sure I'm sure there's a handful of agents that have lending partners that have creative financing even in this market. So, I mean, I had to coach some of my buyers 2 weeks ago to say, hey, ask your lender for these things because they're obviously not offering that up. They don't want to do the work, but here's what you need to be asking for.
Does their commission get cut if they do stuff like that?
Sometimes,
Because I almost feel like it does in some certain scenarios if they offer a buy down. Like I feel like they get certain amount of money for.
I
if
mean,
it doesn't
not that I'm
fluctuate.
aware of.
It doesn't get
So why are
covered
they
by
so
them.
like?
Because it's more work.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot more work.
I
And-
think that they were
I
getting
know.
less, they were getting paid less for something.
Well, but think about us as agents for the last 3 years. We throw a house on the market and sell it in 5 days with 30 offers. So it became old hat for me to just list a house and do my videos and do my stuff. And then I would get it sold in 5 days. And that's the norm. Well, now I have to work at it. Now I have to put stuff on Facebook and I have to call other agents and follow up on feedback and do the work that we did previous to the pandemic. It's more work and I don't want to do it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I want it to go back to what it was during the pandemic because that was easy. I could just, here, y'all buy 2 pictures and and Maria come buy it.
Yeah. Or no.
And give me 20,000 over
Or
the
no
price,
picture, give me more.
you know? So it's different. I mean, and I'm a big stickler on listings. I'm not going to put a house on MLS until I have all the pictures, all of the data, all of my transaction desk stuff. I can't tell you how many houses I'm looking at right now that they don't have any documentation on their listing. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this job if you can't do it correctly? I need that stuff for my buyers to see it.
That's right, and I mean, we talked about how many agents are supposed to go away, like 85% or something like that, and it's those agents that don't do any work and they just are used to throwing it on MLS and selling it, they're not gonna be able to stay.
bye.
Well, I think it's such a waste. I feel like it's a waste for the seller to be like, well, if I go put you a couple days in advance with no professional pictures, I mean, you just had how many phones on how many searches alerted with blank
Nothing.
information. And I hate to tell you, but people are lazy these days and they're not going to go back. It's just kind of like when I'm encouraging my sellers that are sticklers about showing times. I'm like, look, I understand that you want a 1 or 2 hour. I get it. Kids, dogs, work, whatever. But I'm like, please put preferred. Like, please try to accommodate that because I know a lot of agents that are like, nope, I was in Colleyville or Arlington, yesterday and you turned me down and we're not coming back.
That's it.
So I really feel like you have to coach your sellers is like, it just takes one buyer. But you got to be prepared and you have to unfortunately absorb the discomfort of showing a home.
Because I think what
Absolutely.
90% of homes are sold on the internet.
Yeah.
And we have a 4-second span of attention. If they swipe to the next one, more than likely with professional pictures.
At least we have a shot.
Your
Yeah.
phone. We need to talk.
I use my phone.
You did. Well,
You
you're
do?
good though. Really?
Yes.
really?
I absolutely
Well,
use my
you're
phone.
talented.
Absolutely use my
I
phone and
can't-
my drone.
You don't want me to do it. I mean, it would be awful.
But I carry an Android for that reason because it has a different camera that most people don't have, and that's why I do it.
See, Android.
iPhones are great. I would have an iPhone, but
People don't tell real good these days.
You want
Sorry.
I understand.
I'm your dream bubble.
That's just me. I'm old school on that.
I had to type my name on there, I messed up, it took me 5 minutes. That's why I put my number in your phone. Same. I was like, it's Android, I'm like, I can't.
I understand. I get it.
I said, that's how I think that I think yours to work on. I can't even see
My
you so
children's
quickly.
phones.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. Yeah.
So what else are you seeing? Anything else?
I like the because we brought up the first question was, how do we get hesitant buyers? And so I like the combination, like we have a lender issue, right? That we're talking about. That's, I think, solved by a lot of different things that have been brought up. But then the other thing of like, let's make an offer. Like that combination of those two things, like if you're not sure about your lender, go make an offer on something. And it's going to force your lender into starting that pre-approval, starting all that stuff, and then get the buyers to me, as soon as I get a buyer, I'm like, if they find a house they like, I'm like, let's make an offer. Like, what would you buy this just to get them on that process? Once they realize that offer is easy to make, it doesn't take much of them. It's like this like adrenaline high, and they're like, oh my gosh, but that fear that they have of like, oh my gosh, I don't know. They've already done that rep once, and so that second rep on the house they really like, you've already overcome that hurdle. But what the other thing is with the lender part, it kickstarts all that lender work. If you get an offer and they're even playing with it, you can call their lender and be like, hey, they're about to accept this offer. What do you got going? And if he hasn't been pre-approved, and that lender's like, oh, and then start typing, they start working, they start pushing, and you'll figure out pretty quick if that lender is worth their weight or not, And so I like that kind of combination. One, it kickstarts your buyer off in that process, gets them that rep. And it is a pain in the ass to do a contract, work with a listing agent that might be an idiot. You're not going to buy the house from because it's $40,000 under asking, but whatever. Like that rep right there, it does kickstart a lot of those issues to kind of like, especially if you only have 1 to 5 buyers, like do it. Like that rep will kickstart a lot of activity for you. And so I really like the combination of kind of what you guys are saying of that.
And let's not be scared
really good.
to throw in an offer that's 20,000 below. Because if the seller has to make that adjustment to the market because they're not showing at their current price where they could probably appraise for, but they're not showing.
I mean, I think my seller right now, if we got an offer
She'd take it.
significantly under, we would take it. I've
Yeah.
already prepped her. Like I prepped her at 635. Like that's what I told her. I was like, that's where the market has it right now.
Yeah.
And we're still at 649. We dropped twice.
Yeah.
And it's just because she won't listen.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
I've already told her, like, this is where you're going to be. You're still making great money off this house. For a veteran, for owning your home for less than 2 years to make over $100,000, you're doing great. Like, you
Yeah.
just got to be realistic. So I think a lot of times too, it just takes them seeing something on paper.
Yeah.
The verbal offer also is very different than here is a signed offer. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that physical, like seeing, so from the listing side for the last couple of years, and the sellers having to sell and being so stubborn. Even if somebody came in 20K below or 25 below, I'm like, let's counter it.
Yeah.
And most of the time, they would accept the counter.
Yeah.
So
They're fishing.
they were just like, they were tired at
They're
that
fishing.
point, but they still wanted more money. I'm like, well, let's just counter. Let's just see what happens. Even if we kind of met somewhere.
And then
It
even if
just
the
worked
buyer
out.
still says no, you can always go back and say, okay, fine, we'll take your original
Exactly.
offer.
Never mind, but I'm just saying, I have that conversation up front when I submit an offer that I know is displeasing. And I try not to be insulting, but people are getting creative now. They're like, I mean, they don't have an offer, but I try to prep the listing agent. I'm like, hey, I'm sending you this, counter me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, go have the conversation with your clients. Like, if you have other offers, great. I mean, then work them. But if not, counter me. Show me what your seller needs. And then at least I have the data to go back to the buyer and be like, here's what they need. Here's what their timeline is. Here's their goals. How can we get to the middle? And I think another thing is, and you might disagree with me, but like right now, I think it's real easy to flip people from when they're like, well, I want to lease to buy right now, because you can help them understand all the costs that they can get covered by the seller that may not come to fruition.
Why would I disagree with you on that?
No, I'm just, but I'm just saying, because like I
Sell a house.
well, I just told people that if we're like, we're gonna lease, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. Well, because, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I
I
mean,
think more than any time, it's probably people have the mindset that leasing is easier. It is easier to get out of. I mean, buying a house is more of a commitment, right? But I think right now, I mean, if you flip it a year from now, you're probably not going to have the leverage for closing costs and repairs and things like that if rates drop. So that's why I tell people it might be a little bit comfortable, but you're still going to have, if you're making a minimum down payment, FHA, 3.5%,
Please.
just getting into the lease, you're going to pay half that with first and last month. So
Absolutely.
I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
that should make.
Now, there are
complete
some
sense.
people that a lease is definitely going to be there. I mean,
Yeah.
as evidenced by the number of apartments that we have in the Metroplex. We passed New York City for more apartments 3 years ago. We have more apartments in than New York City. Okay, and they're still building more.
I was gonna say, and there's-
Because we still have over 300 people per day coming to the Metroplex, and we have had for almost 5 years. But they're out there. But why would you lease something when you can sell something, get them? Because house prices are not going to go down, guys. They're just not. Even if they correct 3 to 4% over the next year, in 2 years, they're going to be up 7. You're going to make money just in equity, making that monthly payment. And there's so many creative ways. I encourage you, if you're working with a buyer and you need some creative help, we have leaders, subject matter experts that are available to you. Quick links in Slack. Please reach out. Joanna has spent the last 2 years just going nuts with listings. She's probably seen everything in listings. So if Joanna is right there. I'm sure she'd be happy to talk to you about your problem. And of course, Jimmy and I are always available, but the subject, that's why we have this leadership team, is for you guys to have more than one person to go to. So I'm going to call the meeting. It's 10:50. Lunch will be here for 100 Days of Greatness in about 45 minutes. So we'll wait for that. You're welcome to stay. I'm just trying to turn off the video and we can continue talking. But if you're joining us on YouTube, thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye, Victoria. Bye, Megan.